Welcome back, guys, on a bright, sunny autumn day in our freaking awesome village. And I'm telling you now, guys, this game is awesome. It's just awesome. I keep finding new levels to this game. Like, building the original fishing village was kind of cool. Building this part of the castle was, I loved it. Extending it out to like this huge fortified town, incredible. But now I'm discovering like the really complex logistical aspect of this game. Let me start showing you, because like if you love like production chains and complex logistics, oh man, you are gonna love this. And I'll tell you one thing. You can't have enough donkeys. It's just that simple. You can't have enough donkeys. If you want things to run smoothly, oh my god, you need a lot of donkeys. Right, now in the end of the last episode, I was putting in these windmills, and as you can see, things have moved on quite a long way. This is almost developing into its own little village. So, let me show you this first, and tell you what I've been doing. So, we've got the two windmills, and I've got a couple of little wheat fields out in front. And they are producing the wheat, or the grain, which goes into, like, so this one goes into this barn here. But all the grain's being used at the moment, actually. And this one, this field, supplies this barn over here. Now, I've put these barns in fairly recently. Right. Originally, it was going into here, which is why there's like 2,700 grain in here, and there's like 5,300 grain in this one. But these barns were getting too full, which is why I've put these barns in, so that the wheat goes into this barn. Right. The millers come and get the wheat from this barn, but they put the flour into this barn. So there's the flour. Right. And the same setup over here. Although, yeah. So the flour should be going into here, but there's no flour in here. Why is there no flour? If this is milling, there should be loads of flour in here. Well, it's because the flour is being moved. Now, donkeys. One thing that I realised when I started working on this, on the transport and the distribution, is that like if you've got a farm, a little farming community out here, or like a farmer, right? He's gonna have a donkey or two, right? And he's gonna be shipping donkeys. He's going to be shipping his goods into town, right? So he should have his own little donkey stables. So this little community's got their own little donkey stables for shipping their stuff into town. Now, as well as producing the flour, they're also producing honey. I've got a couple of apiaries out in the woods to maximize production. These need to be out in the wilds. They need to be surrounded by trees and plants and whatever to maximize the production. And you can see this is churning out lots of lovely honey. And the same with this one, which is hidden away in here. I'll put this one on. I think this looks really cool on the slope. So, we've got two apiaries. They're putting honey into this barn. And there's some honey. Right, so what are we doing? We are shipping the flour and the honey, and I'm also shipping hides from this barn and this barn over here, because this barn is the closest to these hunters over here. So they're getting hides. They're going into this barn. All of that stuff is getting shipped by donkey. What else are we shipping? We're also shipping some vegetables and some fruit. And we're shipping all of that into this barn over here. Now, this barn is part of a distribution hub. Yeah. God, this is so complicated. Right, so let's start with... Okay, well, let's start with this, kind of in the middle, right? Because this is kind of the middle of the chain. Okay? All right. And also, I guess I should put up this small stockpile because this is part of another distribution chain. Okay, so That's the specifics one. Right, let's start with this guy. This guy's job, this donkey stables, he is responsible for balancing the load between, now this is balancing just materials between 3 stockpiles, which is this stockpile down here, this stockpile here in the castle, or in the town, and this warehouse over here. Okay? So he is balancing the levels between these. That's his job. Right? The problem is that he only balances like the total quantities. Right? And if you're wondering why, well, why has this one got loads in and these two have only got, okay, these two are about the same. They look fairly balanced, but this one's got loads. It's because we're bringing stuff into this warehouse. So like all the logs that are being produced out here, there's actually a route bringing logs into this barn. So this is constantly getting logs. It's also, oh sorry, this warehouse. Yeah. So that's why. So this is why this has got loads in, because it's got like 2,000 logs in it. But everything else is fairly nicely split. Cool, excellent. He's also, this donkey farmer up here, are you keeping up with this? He's also balancing everything between 3 barns, which are this barn here, which is this one, and this barn here inside the castle, and this barn down here in the fishing village. So he's just trying to keep the overall quantities like balanced, right? So that we don't get like one barn that's totally full and one barn that's totally empty. Okay, so that's the job of this guy. This is the general distribution guy, this caravan stables. This one over here is for specifics. Now, for example, let's take eggs, right? Up here we have, not you, you're a tailor. This guy. No, this guy. Yes, this is our vegetable pie maker, right? Now, our vegetable pie maker needs eggs. Okay, so where does he get his eggs from? Right, well, the eggs are actually being produced down here by our chickens, right? Now, fortunately, the closest barn to these guys is this one. So, this guy, where is he? Goward. Goward is taking the eggs and putting them in this barn, right? Now, the problem is that the general distribution won't necessarily move those eggs because it's only balancing the total quantity in the barn. So it might just move some firewood to balance it out, and you end up with loads of eggs here and none up at this end, right? So you need donkeys shipping specifics. So I'm balancing the eggs. I've got 2 routes, balancing on a 1-to-1 basis the eggs between the 3 barns. And as you can see, we've got 27 eggs here, 23 eggs here, so roughly balanced. This one is down to 7, and that's because stuff is constantly getting shipped out from this barn into the market, and we'll talk about that in a second. The thing is, as soon as you start to do this, you realise... where am I? I'm over here. I can barely see. You start to realise that there are so many things that you need, like, shipped in here. Okay, so we need to ship in the eggs, right? We need to ship in meat for to make meat pies. We need to ship in milk to make fruit pies. Fruit pies require milk. We need honey, right? And that's where that's where kind of where I got up to. Now, if we look in here at our pie makers, so we've got this guy making vegetable pie, so he needs eggs. He also needs vegetables. I haven't done that yet. I've got to sort the vegetables out. Flour we also need flour being shipped up here. But the thing is, we've got, well, yeah, we're producing so much flour at the moment, or we've got so much flour, that we're ending up with flour in all three. But really, we do need to balance that specifically. And then we've got this guy. He's making fruit pies. And I haven't got a source for fruit coming in here at the moment. Currently, we're living off the fruit which was produced by the gatherers that we had up here. Now, I've taken out the gatherers and the hunters who were up in this area. So the city is now completely dependent on food coming from outside, which is the way that we want it. So I've got to sort a source of fruit out. And then this guy, this is the honey pies guy. He just needs some honey and flour, right? And yeah, he should be getting a supply of honey coming in fairly soon. And then over on this side, we've got two more bakers. This guy is making meat pies, so he needs a supply of meat. And this guy, now the fifth type of pie is fish pie. I decided against that, and plus we had like so much fruit in here that I decided to make this another fruit pie maker. Now you can see that we're actually getting a lot of pies. Look, 111 honey pies, 67 meat pies. We are actually getting tons of pies made, which is freaking staggering. I'm loving that. So, but what it means is that like this guy's only got 8 roots. Like, so that's just not enough to balance like all of the products between this and the fishing village, where I also want to be making pies. Currently we're just making vegetable pies and meat pies, but I want to be making more pies than that. I want to be making fruit pies and honey pies and whatever. So the distribution between like this barn, and this barn is crucial. But I need more donkey roots, so I may have to go to the donkey mod, the caravan extended mod, and increase the number of routes. Now the only problem is the more routes you have, the more it's going to affect your performance. But I'm not having any performance issues. That's one thing I'm really impressed about with this game, is the fact that I've got... well, resume. I'm already up to like 230 people, in fact 235 people. And I haven't had any lag at all. Like running on ×10, not an issue. Everything just is freaking awesome. Right, so I think we can get rid of. So we know that those stockpiles are balanced. Awesome. So that means when we're building stuff, we've got materials all over the place. But it's balancing all of this stuff. Now, that's just talking about supplying the pies, right? But we've also got things like tools, clothes. Now, let's talk clothes for a second, because right now, I've actually scaled back my tailors. I had 9 tailors at one point, and I've scaled it back because I reorganised my tailors down here. This is now Savile Row, where all my tailors are, and I've put a barn in here, and I've got 5 tailors, and then I've got sheep here. And you remember I had 2 sheep pastures. I had a sheep pasture here, and I had one, I don't know, like somewhere over here. I've combined them into just one pasture, and that is close enough to this barn that it's putting all the wool automatically into this barn. And then I've got this flax field, which was smaller. It was kind of, it fit in here, right? I've increased the size of that, and that is also got this barn as the closest barn. So now all of our wool and flax is going into this barn. So we've got 983. So there is a bit of flax floating around in the other barns, but like that's from before. But now all of the flax goes into this barn. So now these tailors get everything that they need: hides, flax, and wool from this barn. Okay, so the hides, where are the hides coming from? Well, we've got hides over here, this guy, this caravan guy, is shipping the hides from here down into this barn, right? That gets distributed to this barn, and then this caravan guy is shipping hides from here into this barn. So eventually all the hides get moved from here into here. And that's why we've now got like almost 6,000 hides sitting in this barn, which is freaking awesome. And then the clothes, because obviously all the clothes are sitting in this barn, right? Well, that's no good. We need those clothes distributed. And this was one of the things, I think this was why I was having so many problems with hypothermia, because I wasn't distributing the clothes. Now, the clothes are getting distributed between these 3 barns. And you can see, we've got clothes in all 3. Hooray! Oops, didn't mean to close that down. But, if I move that over there, move that over there, and move that over there, I'm also balancing out this barn with this barn over here, because eventually the city's gonna spread over in this direction. So we're gonna need that. So this guy over here. Oh no. I'll talk about that guy in a second. This guy is also distributing between this barn and this barn over here. So we've actually got 4 barns in kind of like a main distribution chain where everything's being distributed. But then we've also got to handle the specifics. So, like, I need, like, at least another donkey farm. And I'm actually thinking of maybe changing the alignment of this and having 2 donkey farms, like, back to back, which might be kind of cool. Okay, so that's that. Okay, once stuff gets into this barn, right? I wanted to use the market. I wanted the market to be useful, and you'll notice that these 4 are pretty much full. In fact, they are virtually full. They're kept pretty much full all the time, and there's a donkey delivering to that market. These should all be pretty empty, except for pies. They might get pies put in there, but otherwise, yeah, empty. Yeah, he's got some pies. Empty. That's got some pies. Oh, it's managed to get some hides in there, presumably because they've killed some animals. Right, but this one, tons of stuff. Flour, tons of stuff. Clothes, tools, vegetables, all kinds of stuff. Same with that one. Same with that one. See, clothes everywhere. And that's because this caravan stable's over here. All he is doing is distributing the goods from this barn into these 4 markets. No, not that one. That one. Right, so that's all he's doing at the moment, is just distributing the goods into the markets of the city. Whew, man. So that's like pretty much as far as I've got so far. I'll just show you over here. They've got. I'm loving this. I'm absolutely loving this, and this has become its own little community. They've got their own little woodcutter, supplying them with firewood. They've got a little vegetable garden in the back, which is actually providing a bit of extra happiness for these houses. Now, somebody said that I should use thatched roofs out here, and I was kind of tempted to put the shacks in, but then I thought, you know what, millers particularly would have been pretty well off. So I've kind of put a mixture in with the barns having the thatched roofs, and then the houses, and of course these houses are a little bit happier. Now I could upgrade them to make them happier still, but that I don't want to do, because I want to keep this as a little, you know, just a little farming settlement out in the middle of nowhere. Now, I wanted to keep the trees clear of the windmills as much as possible. So I've actually got a forester's lodge there and another forester's lodge there. Although I'm thinking I'm going to have to increase In fact, I'm going to do that. I'm going to increase the foresters to 2 there to keep these trees down a bit more. The problem is, I need to keep the... Actually, I'm not going to do that because I need to keep the trees over here. This guy needs to be moved probably just over here a bit because I don't want to take the trees away from the bees. Although, we've got that one there. Where's the other one? Oh, that one's there. Yeah, that might be okay. Go on. I'll see how it behaves when I've added a second forester in there. And then obviously I want to keep the trees out of here. So I've got a forester down here with 2 foresters, trying to keep the trees down here. I've got another forester with 2 foresters in here, keeping this area down. But we've got a little patch here which kind of isn't particularly well covered. See, that comes up to there. This one comes up to there. And this one comes up to there. So this area doesn't get cleared. So really I need to adjust these to get rid of these trees. So then we'd have a nice open approach up to the 2 windmills, which I think would look really sweet. So I'm really pleased with how this has turned out. I'm probably going to end up doing, like, I don't know, some bits of decoration around here because it's very cool. All right, the fishing village. What are we going to do with the fishing village? Well, like I said, I want to start moving some of these fields like outside, and I've got to set up this windmill over here. And I'm thinking that maybe we just have one windmill here with like more extensive farming. So move some of these fields out, probably into this kind of area over here, so that we keep it close to the fishing village. Maybe shrink the fishing village down a little bit, and I've kind of been downscaling it. I got rid of, like I said, like 3 tailors. So we've got the tailors here. I got rid of a tailor from there, a tailor from there, and a tailor from up here. So we're starting to create space in the village. And ultimately, I don't know, I would love to move at least some of the tailors up into the town, right? The only problem with the weavers is that they're these thatch buildings. I wish that there was an upgrade to make them like nicer, like with a nice tiled roof. Then we could have some kind of like rural ones out here with the nice thatched roofs. Maybe have like, I don't know, 2 or 3 out here, and then move the rest into the city and have like a bit of a weaver district in the city. But then of course I'd have to bring wool and flax and hides into the distribution network and feed them up into the city, which of course just means more doggies. But I love how like complex the whole thing is. And we've got to deal with the firewood and the charcoal and tools. Now tools, I haven't sorted tools out yet. That was kind of the next one I was going to sort out, and I thought, well, you know what, let's sort that one out with the guys. Now right now, like, let's say we have got 400 tools. Most of them are in one of these markets. Look, we've got 272 tools in this market. So that's like most of our tools are in there. We've got 21 in there and 59 in there. So that's 60, 80. So 350 tools are in the market. So we've only got 50 tools other than that for like everybody else. So I want to kind of improve that chain around the place. So that means being like a little bit more specific about how we move stuff around. Now anything that gets put into here is going to get shoveled out to these 4 markets, and that's kind of indiscriminate. It's just like move everything out to those markets and keep those 4 markets full, and that's fine. But we're going to have to be more specific about distributing the tools. So I'm going to have to put in the same way that I'm distributing the eggs. I need to distribute the tools evenly between these 3 barns. Now, We've currently got, let's see, where the hell are our smiths? Okay, so we've got one active smith down here. And he's got a supply of iron. And he's got a supply of charcoal. And that's fine. We've also got, let's see, there's another smith over here for this side. And he's got a supply of charcoal. And I think, yeah, there's a foundry there. But that's not producing at the moment because currently... Why have I turned this off? Bonehead. No, don't turn that. That's the one I want. And event log. There we go. We've currently got like almost 1,500 cast iron, which is more than we need. So we're getting some tools into this barn. Oh, and by the way, right, as if it wasn't complicated enough that we're linking this barn, this barn, and where is it? This barn. So we've got 4 barns in the chain. Yeah. I've also linked in this barn using this caravan stables, and it's splitting everything all evenly between this barn and that barn. So we've actually got 5 barns in the whole distribution chain. Awesome, isn't it? But the problem is that, like I said, tools and clothes aren't being distributed evenly at the moment. So I'm gonna have to put like specific things to distribute those clothes and tools evenly, right? So now I've got one tailor over here putting stuff into. Now the thing is, where's the closest barn to you? Probably this one. Where are you putting your tools? They're not going into that one because that's further away than that one. They've got to be going into there because that one's further away. So yeah, I'm guessing they're going into that one and they're just being used up. Is my guess. Because he's probably, he's quite a distance away from getting the stuff that he needs. So he's probably not very efficient. So yeah, oh no, actually, he'll be putting them into here, won't he? Yeah. So you can see that this barn here is just fractionally closer. That's why we're getting tools going into here. There we go. So there's the answer. So these tools that this guy is producing need to be shipped into the distribution chain. So that means I need to say, so in the same way that I'm shipping the clothes into this barn, I need another line that ships tools from this barn into like anywhere on the distribution chain. And then just ship them all from that barn into here. Cool. Fine. So I've solved my tools mystery because I couldn't figure out like where the tools were going. Alrighty. Oh man. So now that those tools are getting into there, they're going to be part of like the overall distribution. But again, you know, there's no guarantee that tools being put into here are going to be shared evenly with, for example, this barn over here, right? So we're going to need to put in lines to specifically do that. So I'm going to have to say, right, tools. I want tools shared between this barn and this barn. And I want them shared one-to-one in both ways, right? So now we'll keep tools balanced between this barn and this barn. But of course, that's just the tools. What about clothes? Well, I haven't got any more lines. So I need more donkeys so that I can set up more of these specific balancing things. Which is awesome. So I'm now thinking about having, like, if I've got a donkey stables here for this barn, I probably need another donkey stables somewhere over here for this barn. So maybe, I don't know, I could get rid of that. Maybe have a donkey stables in here or something. Or maybe move this field outside and have the donkey stables in here. I love it. I absolutely love this. Absolutely. Because once you realise that you can have everything running completely smoothly, right? You just want to make it happen. And things are starting to run fairly smoothly now. So, like, if we look at this barn has got tools and clothes. We look up here, this got tools and clothes. This has got clothes, but no tools, because we're not balancing the tools between here and here. So then I'd have to go over here and set up a line, tools, between this barn and this barn. And I want those balanced 1-to-1 both ways. Right. So now I'll be sharing my tools evenly between those three barns. But of course, they're not getting sent up here. So then I'd need another line for tools balancing between this barn and this barn. And again, I want those balanced on a 1-to-1. Cool. So now I've got tools being balanced between all three of those. Excellent. Now, currently I've only got 2 smiths. So I'm thinking that we probably want some smithing going on up here. And I'm thinking that probably we want the smithing going up here rather than going on down here. So it may be that I get rid of this smith. In fact, shall I do that? I've got to say, I'm kind of tempted. I could take out this smith, this foundry. Because smithing is something like, yeah, we'll have one little smith in this village. But I think we want the majority of the smithing going on in our uber smithery up here. Yeah, go on, let's do it. So, let's rip out this smith down here. Having just set all that stuff up. But this is what the game leads you into. So, let's get rid... Where are we? Yeah, that's what I wanted. We'll get rid of this smith. And we'll get rid of the foundry. Right, so we're no longer producing tools. So the tools won't be going into that barn. So now I can go over here and say, right, though that line that's shipping the tools from that barn into there, I don't need that. Great. That simplifies things around here a little bit. But it now makes the distribution network more important because obviously we're not going to have tools being manufactured over here. So the tools being made here are going to get shipped between these two barns. But they're also going to get shipped up here. So let's go and get this guy working. Where should we make the tools? Well, we'll get the foundry going. So we'll crank a guy up in there. So let's see. Let's get the foundry workers working now. Keep our cast iron supplies up. And then we'll have, I don't know, one guy working in the... Yeah, should we have him working in the castle smithy or working out there? I mean, it really doesn't matter. I think we'll have him working in here because it's more visible. Yeah, let's have him working in there. So we'll turn you up. And now we've got our 2 smiths producing tools. Excellent. But for this guy to be effective, right, now we're getting charcoal from firewood. And there's firewood in the marketplaces. Right, so that's fine. And there's also charcoal in there. So this guy needs ore and he needs charcoal. So we've got the supply of charcoal either from here or from the markets. We need a supply of ore. Well, we've got ore being produced over here. There's also ore over here. But I'm thinking that we're going to have to... I'd love to get it like over here somewhere. So I am thinking about maybe... we put in a small stockpile over here and make sure that we ship ore up to here. I don't know. I'm going to think about that. Because otherwise he's got to walk... Yeah, man, he's got to walk all the way down over there to get ore. So yeah, we're going to have to do something. Okay, right, well, let's see. Storage, and we want a small stockpile. Now, where am I going to put my small stockpile? In. I'm almost tempted to rip out one of those barns and put it in there. Actually, while we're talking about small stockpiles, before I put that in, I want to talk to you about these small stockpiles over here. Because you're probably thinking, well, why have you got... I didn't show you that. Okay. This guy, all this stables over here is doing... no, not that guy. That's the one that's shipping it out to the markets. This guy, these 3 routes here, all these 3 routes are doing are moving the goods from this stockpile, and this stockpile onto this stockpile. Okay. Now, you may say, well, why don't you just demolish these 3, right, and just have that one? And the answer to that is, I've tried, and every time I try and demolish these, the game crashes. Now, this is a kind of a known problem with this mod, right? But I've demolished loads of these small... Do you remember when I was chopping the forests down over here? I had a small stockpile over here, and I had another small stockpile, like somewhere over here. And I demolished those, and those were fine. And I'm wondering if it's because their access is blocked because they're up against this wall. So I'm actually thinking that I'm going to test if I remove the keep. Can I actually demolish those stockpiles without the game crashing? That's something I'm going to have to try out. So that's why I'm kind of now very careful about where I put small stockpiles. Because, like, ideally, I don't want them, like, up against something. Mind you, like, if I put it here, I've only got to knock this fence down. If I wanted to move it. Yeah. Okay, let's do that. So, small stockpile. Let's put it... see, there... It's blocked by that as well. I don't want to have to knock that down. And that's the same if I was to put it in there. It's blocked on 2 sides. And the same over there. So, oh man. What I could do... I could put my stockpile there and move my kilner over here. Yeah, that makes more sense. That makes more sense. Even though, I must admit, I do really like the kiln there. Like, I really do. I really like the kiln there. I mean, the only alternative is to put in... Oh, hang on. I've got a small stockpile there. Which has got a ton of wood on it. Ooh, now that's an idea. Well, you know what? Since I've got that one there, let's use that one. Yeah, that'll do. So, what I now need to decide is... Okay, so I'm bringing ore in. Right, where's that ore being put? I'm assuming that ore is being put onto this small stockpile here. Okay, well that gets moved to that small stockpile there. So probably the easiest way to solve this, because I'm going to be doing building out this way, is to add this into... the distribution chain. Yeah, alright, so let's get another line. And this is going to be materials. I want all the materials distributed evenly between this and this. So this one I need to change to distribute 1-to-1 and both ways. Alrighty. So now my ore is going to get distributed over to here, and my logs will get distributed into this pile. Sweet! Okay, so we have now got a foundry up and running, and a smith up and running. Sweet. So we're producing our tools here, and we're producing our tools down in the fishing village. Excellent. And as the town grows, I can ramp this up and add a second smith and whatever. Oh, man. Oh, could you, like, I don't know. Some of you will look at this stuff and go, oh my God, that just seems like really tedious or really boring. I love this stuff. Absolutely love this stuff. And I love the look of the game. I love what you can build and how you can design stuff. I want to get back to another session of extending this wall out and getting this moat finished. Getting this moat finished is going to be a really significant thing because that's then going to define the town. And then I can get this wall, get the wall going all the way around, put the citadel up at the top. And thanks for all the names that have been suggested. I haven't decided on a final one yet, and if you want to suggest a name for the castle. High Castle is still my favourite at the moment, but you guys have come up with some really cool ones. Yeah, what else? What else is there to talk to you about? I should show you the outhouses because they weren't built the last time. So look. Oh, the boar's going to use the outhouse. No, he's not. So we've got our outhouses around there. I love this little setup. It all works kind of nicely. And the beer garden. I didn't show you the beer garden in the winter. It looks pretty even in the winter. It is a shame that people wouldn't come and... Wouldn't it be awesome if people would actually like get a beer and come out here? Now, oh man, now that's a point. Right, we want to get alcohol going. Right, so for that I need grain and I need oats. Okay, well... I would have to start shipping some grain from the windmills over here and start shipping some oats from over here. Now, all of my oats, 3,400 oats I've currently got, it's all in this barn down here, and it's this field that's producing the oats. So yeah, then I would have to distribute this, and it's not that simple because do I want like tons of oats in these barns? Well, no, I don't. So how am I going to distribute this? Well, I'm going to have to do something like this. If I set up, okay, I've got room for one route. Actually, no, I've got room for another route because this, the oats were in another barn as well. It had overflowed. I think they'd gone into, I don't know, this barn over here, and I was just shipping them all back into this one, so we've got them all in one place. So I can get rid of that. Okay, good. That simplifies things. And now I'll complicate it again. If I say ship oats from here to this barn, which puts it into the whole distribution network, but I'm going to say I only want it shipped one way, and I want most of it to stay in this barn. Well, how do I do that? Well, if I set it up so it's 2, 3, 5, 10 to 1, right? So I'm only going to be putting 1/10 into this barn. Okay, now that is then going to get spread out, so like more of this will get put in. But it still means that, let's say, so we've got 3,500 in here. So let's say like 10% of that, 300, gets put into this barn over here. Then that's going to get distributed, and then we'll have to top this up. But this is always going to get a maximum of 300. So we've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got 5 barns in the network that would get like 300 oats each. Potentially. Like if I did it evenly. So 5 3s are 15, so that would be 1,500. And then we'd still have like 3,500 in here. So that would work because that's enough to feed our pigs down here and whatever. Now, this starts to get interesting because if I start to do that, which I am because I've put that line in. So yes, we're going to start shipping some into here. That means we're going to have oats all around the place. Now, if we've got oats all around the place, then who eats oats? Well, chickens eat oats. Ha ha ha. So what we could do is maybe have a few people keeping chickens in the city, which would be kind of cool. Now, I do want to do like a livestock market. somewhere. I'm not quite sure where it's going to be, but I want to do a livestock market. And this is going to enable me to do that, because I can do this, the same thing that I've done with the oats, right? I could do the same thing with the hay, which is currently in this barn, right? So I could start to put some of this hay, set up the same thing, do a 10-to-1, put some of the hay into this warehouse, right? And then that will be evenly distributed throughout our stockpile chain, which would be sweet. Oh man, that's going to work nicely. Now, the other level of complexity is like, what do you lock and what do you not lock? Okay, now I'm only producing a relatively small amount of honey. And my guess is that if I put another another bakery in down here, which I could do now, because I've got rid of my my weavers, I could put a couple more bakers down here, and I could be making honey pies down here. So yeah, then I'd have to be splitting the honey between this barn and this barn. Not that, that's a house. And this barn. In fact, we are getting some honey, but it's not necessarily evenly distributed. So that would mean putting another distribution line in here. Oh, man. So, like, can you see the complexity? It's crazy, crazy, crazy complex. But my God, it's awesome. I mean, the depth of managing these chains is, and the thing is, once you've set them up, it's all automated. There's no manual micromanagement required. That's what I kind of love about this. If you set it up right, it's all automatic. So yeah, I'm thinking we're going to end up with a couple of granaries in here. Now, milk. Oh, I wanted to mention milk and meat. So yeah, so the honey, we're only producing a very small amount, so I only want that used by the pies. So that stays locked. Milk, on the other hand, now we're producing kind of too much milk to lock it, because we'd end up with absolutely tons and tons and tons of it. So I don't want to lock it, but I want to produce enough that there's always milk available for example, our fruit pie maker. That's vegetable. Right, so now he's got enough milk at the moment, but how do I, like, ensure that there's always milk in the markets? So there's none in there. There's none in there. There's none in there, and there's none in there. Have we got any milk in here? In this barn? No, there's no milk in there. What about over in this barn? See? No. So currently, we don't have any milk in the city at all. Now, obviously, I could remedy that by putting in a specific milk balancing route like I'm doing with the eggs. But what happens is everybody eats it. So I think we need more milk being produced. And we definitely need more meat being produced, because we definitely aren't producing anywhere near enough meat. So I'm thinking we're going to have another cattle farm. Now, that then gives you... I love all these logistical challenges, because then it's like, okay, well, if I put another cattle farm, like, say, on, like, right here, right, which I could do. Yeah, I've kind of just about got room to do that. Then that would mean that the milk and the meat could potentially go into the same barn, right? And that would just get fed in to the distribution chain through the existing routes that I've already got. Fine, awesome. If I put the cows somewhere else, which, like, for aesthetic reasons, and I wish the snow would go away. Let's crank it up a little bit. Let's get through this blizzard so we can actually see. For aesthetic reasons, I'd actually like to have a cow farm somewhere else, like over in maybe this windmill community over here. But then that means that I've got to set up the routes to get that milk and meat into the distribution chain again. So that's going to be another donkey stables over here for this community and shipping it all in. And it just goes on and on. And I love it. I absolutely love it. So, I've rambled on for hours. I mean, I don't think I've built a single thing, have I? But hopefully you can see what an awesome logistical management game this is. Seriously, this game, as far as I'm concerned, it just keeps getting better and better and better and better. And I can look around for ages, and I'm always spotting things and thinking, oh man, I'm going to need to move that around, and I'm going to need to balance that out, and I'm going to do this, that, and the other. But it is very satisfying when you go to a barn, and it's like, oh, I've got tools, and I've got clothes, and I've got food, and I've got this, that, and the other. And it's all working, and it's all distributed. And I think you'll see that in all the time we've been playing, we haven't had anybody die now of hypothermia or starve to death or anything. Oh, we had a couple like way earlier. But I think that's because of clothes distribution. And for example, these poor buggers out here who live out here, they've got no clothes. So does that mean that I need to ship some clothes from the barn network, from the main distribution network? Do I need to ship some of these clothes out here? So, like, for example, I could set up a line in here and say, okay, clothes, and that whatever applies to clothes applies to tools. But the thing is, like, where do I put the line, right? Now, should it be the responsibility of the farmer to go and get his clothes and tools? Well, I think it probably should be. But then, like, I need more lines. I'm seriously tempted to increase the mod up to at least like 10 lines. But even then, I think like even a small community like this is going to need 2 donkey farms. Right? So do I put another donkey farm back to back with this one? I mean, I haven't got a problem with it. I definitely haven't got a problem with it. I love the donkeys. I love seeing the donkeys wandering around. So, there you go. I think I've given you a lot to comment on. And if you guys can come up with, like, better ways to manage the distribution, then let me know. I want to hear about it. But I love the fact that we've got, like, loads of people riding around on their donkeys. Look, there's loads of them. Loads of donkeys everywhere. And that just looks brilliant around the place. An entire village and town just crammed with wonky donkeys. Alright guys, we will leave it there for this like probably extremely long episode of me yattering on and not building anything. Some people will be very annoyed about that. Some of you will love the fact that I've gone into the depths of the distribution network. I hope you enjoyed it. I will catch you for the next one when hopefully we'll be doing a lot more building. I'll catch you for that. Peace out.